Alright guys, so with Season 3 fast approaching, I wanted to give you guys a little bit of a head start on how to take out the Wall Crasher. Now I'm not going to lie, this boss is a little bit different than some of the other bosses we have fought. The main thing I noticed is he's an absolute unit and has an immense health pool. Now during the closed content creator event, I was able to actually solo this enemy, but don't think that that makes him easy by any stretch of the imagination. Now I don't want to talk too long, but I am going to let you know that the video is going to be broken up into a couple sections. The first section is going to be the build, the second section is going to be the attacks that the Wall Crasher actually does. The third section is going to be the strategy that I use to kill the Wall Crasher. And then the fourth section is going to be my thoughts around the Wall Crasher. So having said all that guys, let's go ahead and hop into the video. So as always guys, we're going to go ahead and start out with the weapons that I used in this build. The main weapon I used was the Albion Calvary Gun. The main reason we enjoyed this gun is because of all the free slots on it. This allowed us to really ratchet these damage numbers up and make it to where we could punish the Wall Crasher. So for the cores on this, I would go ahead and use 2 fire rate cores, 2 chill attack, and then on the developer build, we did use firearm critical hit rate. Now what I can say about that firearm critical hit rate is I wanted to try a build of this gun with multi-hit chance. However, I did not actually have any multi-hit chance cores, so I was not able to build that out and see if it did better. Once you see the build, you'll understand why I wanted to try that, but for now, these are the cores that I used on the build that I was able to clear the Wall Crasher with. When it comes to the roll down bottom, we went ahead and used 1 chill attack, 1 firearm attack, 1 firearm critical hit rate, and 1 multi-hit chance. For the build on this weapon, this is what we actually went with. The main thing we did here was try to really get as much multi-hit out of this weapon as we could. Multi-hit induction puts in a lot of work on this build, and the main reason is because all we're going to be shooting on the Wall Crasher is weak points. And as you can see here, using this mod is going to give us a 57% multi-hit chance, which is absolutely huge when it comes to Serena and being able to proc off her 4 additional times. Outside of that, we did add action reaction to ratchet up the base damage a little bit and a fire rate mod. Everything else on here was either to get multi-hit chance or to make the critical hits do more damage. And then the last mod we slapped on was a chill enhancement. For the reactor on this build, it does not matter what type of reactor you use, the only thing that matters is the roll down bottom. The main thing we're going to want to go with here is skill cost reduction and skill cooldown. The cost reduction on this is going to help us stay in the air, and we want to be able to stay in the air as much as we can because we do get additional multi-hit chance with general rounds while we are in the air. And the cooldown on here is just to ensure that we can keep uptime on our 4. Now for the component set, we are going to go ahead and rock the Ascending Armory. We need this set for 2 different reasons. One, the skill cost reduction again is absolutely huge, making sure we can stay in the air. The other reason we need this is for the mid-air supply rounds. You are going to be burning through bullets insanely quick, and because you're wearing the set, when you reload in mid-air, you will get additional rounds, and that's going to keep you doing damage to the boss. Overall, this set is absolutely amazing for this build. When it comes to the rolls and the cores on this, go ahead and put on what we have here. For the inversion reinforcement, these are the nodes I would suggest you pick up. Go ahead and get firearm control mechanism, selective neurostimulation, and chill focus rounds. Firearm control mechanism and chill focus rounds are really going to help you ratchet up that damage, and selective neurostimulation is going to help by periodically giving you MP, which is going to allow you to stay in the air even longer. All in all, these 3 will synergize well with the build that you will be using for the Wall Crasher. Alright guys, so for the arcade tuning, this is actually the tree I went with. Now this might be a little bit of an odd tree, but I'll explain why I went this way with it. The main thing we're doing in this build is building in the multi-hit. We're really wanting to get a lot of multi-hits, which is going to cause our 4 to proc a lot, and that's going to do most of our damage to the Wall Crasher. So we wanted to make sure we went over and got the multi-hit chance. Outside of that, we did go down to the bottom right, and the reason I went down to the bottom right was for this mutated cell. What tech dimensional tuning does is when you use a dimensional skill, it is going to reduce your skill cost by an additional 5.6%. Again, we want to spend as much time as we can in the air, and this is going to make it that much easier for us to do it. I cannot overstate how nice it is to have an insane amount of skill cost reduction, as it is going to allow you to stay in the air and keep putting damage out. Now for me, I did try a couple different arcade tuning trees, and this one worked best for me solo. Now I do want to go ahead and show you a second tree and explain to you what this tree does, how it benefits you, and how it's going to hurt you. This is another tree that I tried to run. This tree has defense neutralization in it, which is absolutely huge and allows you to do a bunch more damage. But the problem is this only works one time, and that's at the very beginning of the fight. Once the Wall Crasher is below 100% HP, you no longer get any benefit out of this mod. Now, where I can see a tree like this coming into play is if you're in a group setting and you are the first person to hit the Wall Crasher, but that is where the benefit to this ends. So for most teams, I would actually suggest using the other arcade tuning tree. Now for the fellow, you are actually gonna want to use the Vesper hunting dog here. Whether you're doing this in a group or solo, this is going to be a prolonged fight to some degree, and having the additional ammo brought to you will make your life easier, as it will keep you in the fight longer. So now we're going to go ahead and talk about the build we're using on Serena, and this is actually what I'm using. If you've ever used a Serena flying build, this should look pretty familiar to you. The main thing we're doing here is trying to get Serena's HP up as much as we can, while enabling her to fly and use her 4 on cooldown. This build does rely on multi-talented, so make sure you have it in there. The last thing I want to touch on is the trigger mod for Serena. I actually have Kuiper hollow points put on here, but you can leave this off if you want. Out of all the trigger mods in the game currently, none of them are really gonna benefit you when it comes to the wall crasher. TLDR, if you don't have a trigger mod, don't worry, because it's not really doing much in this build. Alright guys, so now I'm actually going to talk about the couple attacks that the wall crasher has. I want to make sure you understand what he can do so you know what to be on the lookout for. Some of these attacks are going to be more lethal if you're on the ground, but as you're going to be using Serena, you will avoid a lot of them. And having said all of that, I do want to make sure you guys are aware of them in case you decide to bring somebody else into the fight. One of the first attacks you need to be aware of is the wall crasher does actually have a ground stomp. When he does this, it will send a shockwave across the arena, and if you're not in the air when the shockwave hits you, you will take some damage. Outside of the ground stomp, there will be poles that spawn around the arena. These typically spawn around the outer ring. Once these poles are in the ground, they will emit blue orbs, and if you go inside of them, you will take constant damage. These are actually very easy to get rid of. Just go ahead and shoot the pole. Once you put enough damage into it, they will actually break and remove them from the arena. Outside of those, there will be general adds that spawn on the ground. These don't seem to really be that lethal, and the main thing I used them for was to get MP and to get ammo back. Either way, I just wanted to make you aware that there will be groups of these that spawn in periodically. Now, I do want to mention another ground attack, but I cannot seem to find any footage of it. So make sure to take this one with a little bit of a grain of salt. Now, from what I recall, there is an attack where the wall crasher will get on all 4. When he does that, I'm pretty sure he does direct damage under him and in a line in front of him. Now, this is only from my recollection because I cannot actually find any footage of this. Now, outside of those, he does have 2 additional attacks. One is some aerial lasers that spawn out of his back. These will be little drones that pop out and then lock onto players. After a few seconds, the lasers actually swap colors. When that happens, if you touch them, you will take damage, so try to avoid that. And the last thing the wall crasher does is he does fire rockets out of his back, and it will target players. Now, these are pretty easy to avoid in the air, but on the ground it could be a lot worse because they do have splash damage. Now, when you do break 2 weak points on the wall crasher, he will lock into position. After that happens, purple balls will start raining down from the sky. These can hit you while you're flying, so do be aware of that. When they hit the ground, they will do damage where they hit, and then a small ring will spread out from where it hit, and if you get hit by that ring, it will do additional damage to you. Now, the last thing I think you need to be aware of is when you do break 5 of his weak points, the boss will take a knee. After a few seconds, he will stand back up and he will regenerate all of his weak points. And the last thing I want to talk about here is the boss actually does have an enrage timer, but I could not tell what it did. It did seem very inconsistent and didn't seem to spawn any additional attacks. I've rewatched the footage numerous times and I honestly couldn't tell what it did, but I want to tell you that he does have an enrage timer. If you figure out what this does, let us know down in the comments below. So now that I've explained to you everything that the wall crasher can do, we're going to give you the strategy we use to clear this boss. First and foremost, the main thing you're going to want to do is go ahead and jump up in the air and proc your 4. Once you have your 4 procced, you're going to want to jump up in the air and get as high as you can. The approach I took was very much top to bottom. I found one of his weak points and just focused shooting that down. You are going to want to ensure that you do not let your 4 lapse. Your 4 is going to be doing all of the damage in this fight, so make sure you keep that up all of the time. Outside of that, you're just going to want to empty your mag and dash to reload, and then go back to aiming at the same weak point and empty your mag and dash to reload, all while avoiding attacks. If you notice that you're starting to get low on HP, go ahead and toss a 1 at the boss. This is going to give you a little bit of ammo regen as well. The main goal here is for you to manage your HP between your dashes and your 1. You do not want to have to land for ammo if you can avoid it. Outside of that, just keep punishing the boss and keep avoiding attacks while aiming at the weak points. Now, eventually you will run out of MP, and when that happens, head to the ground and kill a bunch of the enemies down there. Pick up all the MP you can and get right back into the fight. Now, during this skill loop, I want to remind you of one thing. Be very careful when using your 1 and your 2. Both of those skills are singular. So if you use a singular skill, it will change the bonus you get from multi-talented. And you do not want to use your 4 while you have the bonus from the singular side of multi-talented. So ensure you do not do that, or your 4 will go on a very long cooldown and you will lose a ton of damage. Outside of that, it is very much a rinse and repeat on this boss until it's dead. So now I want to give you my general thoughts on the Wall Crasher and some general tips. The first thing I want to say is it does not hurt to have somebody built like this in your party. The goal behind this is you want to ensure that even if the rest of your team does absolutely no damage, you will still get rewards and you can kill the Wall Crasher in the 20-minute time limit. From what the developers have stated numerous times, the amount of HP the Wall Crasher has should not scale whether you're in a team of 1 or in a team of 8. So the amount of damage it took to kill the Wall Crasher during the closed test should be the exact same amount it takes during the live Season 3. So if everybody on your team has a build very similar to mine, I would expect you should be able to get sub 3-minute clears. Now, before you go to the comments or before you go to Reddit saying this boss is too easy, I want to remind you of a couple things. The build that I have is absolutely insane at putting out damage. This is a very heavily optimized build, and it's not something that everybody is going to have. The very first time I tried the Wall Crasher, I actually went in with just a general last dagger build that I use in a lot of other bossing. And while that build does work in something like Void Erosion 10 or other Colossus fights, it absolutely did nothing to this boss. After 20 minutes, I was only able to get his shield down to half before I failed the mission. So even though this sounds like a very, very easy fight, it really isn't. Now over time, I'm sure with 8-man teams, it will be much easier and there will be a lot more forgiveness to this fight. But one thing you have to keep in mind is that pub lobbies don't always have teams with the best builds. And while your build might be able to do a bunch of damage, you will be trying to pick up for other people who do not. And even if you do see other Serenas in the fight, it does not necessarily mean that they have a build that is going to do a ton of damage. One last thing I want to do here is give a shout out to Henri Biscuit. I spent probably my first 5 matches on the Wall Crasher just trying to figure out if there was some sort of secret mechanic or something I didn't understand. Because I was really surprised that no matter what build I took in there, I couldn't seem to get his shield completely gone. I was talking to Biscuit during the closed test and she had mentioned that she had actually got him down to where he was almost dead in the first 20 minutes. And that was an epiphany moment for me, because that let me know that there is not some sort of weird mechanic, I just needed to improve my build. Biscuit told me that she had used the Albion Calvary Gun, so that is where I started. I took the Albion Calvary Gun and I tweaked it and tweaked my build until I was actually able to kill the Wall Crasher. But I can tell you that putting the Albion Calvary Gun on was not an easy win button. If you mess up some of your inversions, if you mess up some of your Arche tuning, or you put the wrong mods on your Albion Calvary Gun, it will prevent you from actually clearing this fight. So again, while this fight sounds easy, and while this guide is going to make it look easy, it is very simple to mess up this build and to mess up this fight. But having said all that, guys, hopefully you enjoyed the video and you enjoyed the guide. And again, big shout out to Henri Biscuit. If you guys haven't, definitely go over and give her channel a sub. And having said all that, guys, thanks for watching. And as always, have a great day.